human.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. It's Nordowin for PA, some vocal maintenance for the Vikings Vox. And joining me now, very excited to welcome him into the show.
H-O-F.
Indeed, a Hall of Famer, and of course, one of the greatest Vikings in the history of the franchise, Vikings wide receiver Cris Carter. Joining me now. How are you this morning, Cris?
I'm doing great. How's everybody doing?
Oh, we are fantastic, sir. I do want to get this event on the front of the plate right away. Next weekend, you're going to be, hopefully, swinging it well, straight and strong. The James Hardy Pro Football Hall of Fame Invitational. It's next weekend. It supports Habitat for Humanity, First Tee, and the Boca Raton Regional Hospital. Just last year, as a matter of fact, helped raise more than $600,000 for these incredible organizations. It's at the Broken Sound Club in Boca. If I was golfing there, Cris, it'd be called the Broken Swing Club, but excited for this event to take place. My intel indicates, Cris, you are a terrific golfer. Is that accurate?
I would say I'm a pretty good golfer. I love golfing, but about a 7 handicap, so wherever you think that is.
No, that's...
So I've been playing an awful lot the last couple of months, so I am looking forward to the tournament. And it's not only golf, it's not only the Boca area, but what they do from a charity standpoint. I'm looking forward to giving away a house to a deserving family next week for Habitat for Humanity. That's going to be completed on the golf course, I think, on Wednesday. So not only the money that they raise, over $600,000, which is astronomical for the local area, and I've been a resident of Boca over 35 years. So to see people doing great things and have the other legends and the PGA veterans coming in, like it's going to be an exciting week in Boca Raton.
No, that sounds terrific. And people can learn more. You can get tickets and support it. James Hardy, that's Hardie, JamesHardyInvitational.com. I imagine, Cris, HOF, the career that you had and the platform and the exposure that you've had over the course of your career, you can get pushed and pulled in a lot of directions for different charities. But it sounds like this one in particular is one that you've really latched onto and have really been passionate about supporting.
Well, not only being a resident of Boca Raton, I like to be able to support the PGA Tour and the champions, and them continuing their golf career, but the National Football League and the way they supported my career. So all these things are a win-win for me. The great brand, 2 great brands coming together, that being our Champions Tour and our NFL Legends, our Gold Jackets. So to have those people in the town that I call home, they'll raise a lot of money for charity, eat a lot of food, drink some drinks, make some birdies. It's going to be a great week.
No, that's awesome. And I really appreciate, albeit on short time, the time that you're giving me this morning. I was just talking to another former Viking, had a nice run here, Chad Greenway, and we were talking about the NFL Combine, his experience in 2006, fresh out of Iowa. Was there any sort of Combine or pre-draft opportunity for you to showcase yourself back in the 80s, Cris?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys looked it up, but yes, the Combine started before I came out of college. So yes, I didn't play in the 60s.
No, I know.
So it's very, very similar to the way they do it now.
Yeah, and I was just curious because even since I've been working here at KFAN, how it's changed from just a few radio stations on the concourse at Lucas Oil Stadium to now quite the zoo that it's become throughout the convention center, and really how it can take hold of Indianapolis. And you just hear it used to be, okay, we'll go check and see what young Cris Carter is doing at the Combine. But now the NFL world just kind of descends on it. The exposure feels like it's changed.
Well, I think everything in the NFL is big. There is no event in the NFL that's not a big deal. You look at the draft, how it's evolved, the pre-draft. The NFL is 12 months out of the year. 365 news days. They're trying to capture everyone, and they do a great job with the Combine. You look at the best 350 prospects coming out of college football, and now because guys are staying in college longer, the prospects are even better because they're a little more mature.
Absolutely. Now, to our favorite team, the Combine has a chance to impact the Minnesota Vikings. Rob Brzezinski, the acting general manager. Now, he's been with the Vikings since the late 90s. Did you ever have a chance to interact or get to know Rob Brzezinski early in his Vikings tenure in Minnesota?
Yes, I know Rob, know him well. Great executive in the NFL, has been for a long time. Really good man, good family man. Really cares about the purple. They're in good hands until they transition over to the full-time general manager.
Yeah, and moving forward, this team's in a tricky spot, Cris. You following it as you do, just kind of watching the first opportunity we all had to see J.J. McCarthy at the helm and the trials and tribulations of that, combined with a team trying to maybe find their way under the cap. Just what's top of mind for you with this Minnesota Vikings squad as we get closer to the draft and then really start gearing up for the 2026 season?
Well, there's two major questions, even though there's a number of questions. Number one is the quarterback. Is he the franchise quarterback? And can he stay healthy? Those are two separate questions.
Yep.
And then the offensive line, the ability to be able to keep them healthy, because that affected the quarterback and affected the offense in a negative way. So those are things they're going to have to address. They're probably going to address corner, which they have the last couple of years. They're probably putting a high draft pick into a corner. But this is a very good team, a lot of good veterans. But we don't know who our quarterback is.
Yeah, and with J.J. McCarthy, Cris, rough go for him as it was last season, does it almost feel like one's faith in J.J. McCarthy is kind of tied to your level of faith in Kevin O'Connell to continue developing him? Does that make sense?
No, it don't make sense for me.
Okay.
Because I've seen Kevin O'Connell with every quarterback he's had success with. So why would I tie J.J. McCarthy's success to him when I've already seen what he does works?
Well, but
no, I wouldn't do that.
No, I get you. I was just kind of thinking about in terms of the limited opportunity that we got to see him and moving forward to answer those questions with J.J. McCarthy in terms of do they add a veteran free agent that would be pegged to start? So then maybe if J.J. comes off the bench, that pushes that timeline of growth back a bit. Or if Kevin O'Connell rolls into the 2026 season saying, you know, what we see is something that we believe that we can work and succeed with, that your belief in Kevin O'Connell handling QBs and having all that success would lend to you having faith in J.J. McCarthy in 2026.
What do you think should do at quarterback?
Well, for me, I just haven't seen enough of.
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah. I haven't seen enough of J.J. McCarthy to say whether it's going to work with this team or it's not. And I have immense amount of faith in Kevin O'Connell's ability to raise quarterbacks. So you need to raise the level of that room, which probably means bringing in, there's some Anthony Richardson steam now. I'm not sure how to feel about that, but the veteran options out there, somebody that can push J.J., raise that competition level, and then in the end find more success in 2026. What do you think about the QB spot in terms of how they can handle it?
Well, the Vikings don't know who their quarterback is. J.J. McCarthy has proven nothing to anyone except guys close to him, his youth quarterback coach or whatever, because he hasn't done anything in the NFL. To me, you have to bring in a veteran because you have a veteran team that is ready to potentially compete for a Super Bowl right now. So that rookie contract is still going to be in year number 3. And to me, this is the make or break year. But I would bring in a veteran quarterback, someone that has starting experience.
And I'm with you. I like that idea, and I'm with you in lockstep on that. You know, looking at this league and Justin Jefferson. So, you know, you do a lot of interviews. I'm sure you get a lot of questions about wide receivers in this league today. And we had a lot of conversations here locally about, you know, Sam Darnold, of course. He was here 2 years ago, just wins a Super Bowl with the Seahawks. But just the way that whether it's a Jackson Smith and Jigba coming onto the scene and having great success, or Puka Nacua in L.A., just where you see, and that's, by the way, we're talking about this on the heels of one of the greats, Larry Fitzgerald, just being inducted into the Hall of Fame, the unbelievable career that he had. What are things that at this stage, whether it's Smith and Jigba, it's Puka, some of the greats in this league at that spot, what are they showing that even as great as you were, the career that you had, that you're just like, wow, that's what's working in this league right now at that spot?
Well, if you look at wide receivers over the last 3 decades, it's really about getting open in short quarters. It's about catching contested balls, and it's about making big plays in big games. That hasn't changed. These guys don't have any greater traits than the wide receivers that played in the 80s, the 90s, or 2000. You know, so for me, they're maximizing the game Now they have a group of guys that are a little bit smaller. They don't have a couple big receivers that are as dominant as they used to always have. So that's really the only way the game has changed. There's more opportunities. There's more three wides on the field, and there's less bump and run, less contact in the chuck zone. So that's the way the game's changed. It's just like basketball. You see kids that can dribble better. You see kids that can shoot the ball better. So skill level in all sports, soccer, basketball, baseball, is always going to be higher because of technology. But they're not better players. They're not more durable. They don't have more information. They don't love the sport like other generations have. So, there are some pluses, but there's always some minuses as far as today's modern athletes, especially as far as their durability.
Absolutely. Last thing for you, Chris, and again, can't thank you enough for your time, specifically to Larry Fitzgerald Jr. and his induction in the Hall of Fame. All those years with one team, sadly, he didn't find himself to the top of the mountain. But, when I think about your career growing up here in Minnesota, man, whether it was you and, of course, Randy in 98, I'm down in Mankato sticking my little arm through the chain link fence trying to slap hands with you guys after a training camp practice. Like, we've been so blessed with talent at that spot in this league. But this local kid, Larry Fitzgerald, and the tenure that he had in the NFL, how impressive is that, my man?
Larry's journey it's amazing. But, he had unbelievable situations from the time he was 14 to 18, where you have people like myself and Randy Moss, very, very close in his life, day-to-day contact. That experience is priceless. And then, selecting going to the right school where they were highlighting him, and they did that at Pittsburgh. I'm fortunate Denny Green was in Arizona to be able to get his career on track, because I don't think it's the same without Dennis Green being there. So, remarkable 17-year career, first ballot Hall of Famer. To me, I don't know what else he would want from a career than he accomplished.
Absolutely. Same for you, my friend. Really appreciate you giving us time today. Really love your support of the James Hardy Invitational and just what that means, whether it's giving away houses, Habitat for Humanity, the charity, the money raised. It's terrific work, and I just glad I got to chat with you today, Chris.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, you as well. That's HOF, Cris Carter, again, supporting the James Hardy Pro Football Hall of Fame Invitational. It's next weekend in Boca Raton, Habitat for Humanity, First Tee, Boca Raton Regional Hospital. You heard from Chris. He's giving away a house. Tons of charity as part of surrounding this Pro-Am tournament. It's going to have 78 PGA Tour pros. It's going to have 26 pro football legends, including Cris Carter, CC. Thank him for joining. You can learn more at JamesHardyInvitational.com. Kevin Falness joins us next, 9 to noon.
And don't let this one get away. The Northwest Sports Show is March 5th through the 8th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. See the newest fishing and outdoor gear, boats, RVs, travel, and power sports. And you can join who you're listening to right now, Nordo, Friday the 6th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Friday Night Fish Fry, Nords. The Friday Night Fish Fry. Details, KFAN.com, keyword calendar. Nords, Fish Fry.
Are you talking about the sports show?
Yeah.
Dude, the sports show. So last year, so I mentioned it, Kevin Falness, welcome in studio.
Thank you.
And yes, I think PA is just going to take every Friday off forever. So is this maybe the third consecutive week? You hosted the two previous.
Yeah, third consecutive week I've been in here for a Friday. And this time I'm on this side and there's a lot less pressure on this side, I'll tell you that much.
But HOF made me work for that one last segment. So there's pressure on all sides. There's no doubt about it, but no pressure on you, of course. But you've been filling in. Are you an angler? Do you fancy yourself an angler?
No. Tell your story, and then I've got one about ballards because I heard you talking about that. Go with yours, and I'll tell you my outdoor story up there at Ballards Resort.
Well, it's hard to explain this. So I don't own a boat, but I have several buddies who own boats.
Which is the way to do it.
100%.
I have several friends that own pontoons. I have several friends that own cabins.
Lucky.
So, well, trust me, it's not. This is not a braggadocious related comment. My point is skip the cabins for a second. I love checking out boats, man. Checking out pontoons. Checking about new outdoor tech. For those of you that hunt on a regular basis, I do not hunt. I'd like to hunt. Maybe I will in the future. Never too old to start. But I'm just fascinated by the outdoors industry, and you learn so much. So the sports show at the convention center is sweet. And of course, during the Lenten season, Friday night fish fries happen to be in vogue.
Sure.
So picture yourself staring at that potential future new pontoon, maybe a little RV, maybe that new bow that you've been looking at, bow hunting Bernsey. You can snag that 10-point buck at 50 yards with that brand new, a compact bow.
Sure.
You can find all sorts of things. Maybe there's a new lure, a new spoon, a new jig, all sorts of things to be talked about and found. But picture looking at all of that cool stuff with some fish and chips as part of the fish fry. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be there next Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. It's going to be awesome. And I'd love for any and all of you to join me. Come over and say hi, and we'll have fun at the sports show. So you went to Ballard's. I just went there. Were you summertime or ice time?
It was summertime. It was on one of those wild road tours, Keith Ballard was actually up there, his brother-in-law, and long story short, so those road tours, we used to go to different parts of the state, and ours was the northern leg. It was me, Tom Reed, a couple of front office lackeys, and Jordan Schrader and Mikey Anderson. That's not his name. Mikey... God, the former Gopher. Doesn't matter who it was. But regardless, we're out there.
Mikey Riley?
Mikey Riley, that's who it was. Yeah. They take us out on Lake of the Woods.
How about me with these hockey names,
very good. Why I couldn't come up with it. Super cool kid, whatever. So we're up there on Lake of the Woods, Ballard's Resort. They say, all right, we're going to take you out on the boat, and we're going to go fishing. Sounds great. I'm not baiting my hook. I'm not that guy. But regardless, they said they'd take care of us. They were going to treat it like it was a regular tour. So we all jump on this boat. We go out there. It's about, 7 o'clock in the morning. And it was like being on the Pacific. During the waves were just up and down. I got as seasick as I've ever been. And I don't think I'll ever go on a boat again. Not in waters. I'll go on a lake like Harriet. I'm not going on Lake of the Woods ever again. It was tormenting. Wow. I was green. I literally was green. I was sick to my stomach. I'm a wuss.
Well, anyway, is this where I bring up the spring Ballards trip?
No.
Well, come on, man.
I'm saying it was awesome. Ballards is fantastic. Yeah. I'm just saying, for me, I'm not going out on a boat ever again in open waters like that. It was catastrophic for me. I was green to the gills.
So like me at a ski resort where I'm going to spend the whole day in the chalet
100%.
After 2 runs.
Yep.
At Ballards, you'd be the person that ponies up and chills in the lodge
sits on the
area.
beach or sits by the fire or watching TV at the bar while you guys go out there and fish. You go get them. So
what I learned while I was up there, again, this is novice related. This is regurgitation of information. Is the one thing that is interesting about Lake of the Woods, that particular lake that opens up, is you have the confluence, you got the rainy river, you got all kinds of things going on.
Yeah.
Is the waves can get really weird, where they can get kind of tall.
Yeah.
But the bigger problem is that you don't get enough time in between waves to level out. So you can, when it's super windy and it's coming from a certain area, you can just get battered at times.
I didn't know if they were screwing with me or whatever once they saw that it was starting to affect me, but I mean, my head was between my knees and we were out there for like 3 hours. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere and we have nowhere to go.
Wow.
They're just fishing, and for 3 hours, my head is stuck between my knees and I'm all but vomiting. It was just, I felt like Philip Gustafson last night between the pipes. It was just disgusting.
Well, at ballardsresort.com.
I'm not ripping Ballard.
What are we doing here?
That's the worst part about it. I had Keith Ballard there. His brother-in-law were there. They looked like twins. They were great guides, but it just wasn't my jam. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be, I can't do that ever again.
Well, you'll love the ice fishing.
I'm sure I would.
There's no wake.
No wake.
There's no waves. It's 3.5 feet of ice.
Plenty of access to the cooler.
Well-heated house.
Yeah.
They take you out in a bombardier on tracks with, it's an unbeliple freaking experience that I had. Now I'm savvy enough. I will bait my own hook.
I'm not doing that.
Nah, it's
yucky.
It's a point of pride thing.
I've got plenty of pride on other things. I don't need to stick a worm on a hook. I can't do it.
Okay, well then
I'm not going to gut a deer.
Use minnows. You can use leeches and other things.
Oh, ish.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch a leech either.
Okay. Well,
supposed to stick it in their mouth and it doesn't feel, no, that's not for me.
But it was a tremendous experience. I'm sorry that you.
I know I'm exposing myself as the city boy that I am, but
it sounds traumatic. Now, speaking of green, whether it's you on a boat or it's Gus in net.
That was so bad.
How awful was that last night?
Oh, man.
I felt for him badly.
I felt for myself, too, because I do get queasy. And that was when they had the shovel and they're throwing it to the back of the net. I don't blame Jesper Wallstedt for not making that final save. I'm not going down in that blue paint, considering what was there about 30 seconds prior. That was gross. You feel so bad for him. And the guy had a wonderful game. I don't think it was the Olympics that he envisioned for himself there in Team Sweden, getting yanked and being basically a spectator for the final couple of games there of that tournament. But what he did last night did reaffirm my faith in Philip Gustafsson as the number one guy for this team. 40-some saves against the Colorado Avalanche. They come away with a 5-2 victory. He didn't make it to the end of the contest, but still 40-some saves on 45 shots. It was fantastic.
No, he was. And then didn't Wallstedt roll in and I think he gave up a goal.
That's what I'm saying, because he didn't want to go into that blue paint, because he knows what was there 30 seconds prior. Gustafsson's dinner.
Oh,
so bad.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I have never seen that. No.
There's classic like Donovan McNabb. He threw up in the huddle back in the day, and I just never. Oof.
Tom tells stories about an old time goaltender. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was Gump. That doesn't strike me as him, but would puke before every game. Because his nerves were so bad. I don't think it was Gump Worsley, but not on the ice, not in the crease at the end of a hockey game where he just made 44 saves and then he pulls himself, and God bless him. The fact that he was able to literally gut it out in that third period is pretty fantastic.
Well, now that we've got through that, several levels of
what a start to this conversation.
Of queasiness. The key is, though, with Gus before he left in a very unceremonious fashion, 44 saves. Mm-hmm. And the Minnesota Wild returned to play last night. Now, I know, what was it, about half the league on Wednesday, the other half last night. Whatever you were thinking about, okay, Russian Cats have been on the chill for nearly a month, and, Gus, I think Markstrom played the final 2 for Sweden, so really Gus had kind of been chilled for a week or so. Yeah. The ability of them to jump back in and really dominate the way they had was very impressive last night.
For them to get back out, they hadn't played since February 3rd, except for the guys that were at the Olympics. And, of course, they're coming in with a whole different set of battle scars from the Olympics, the travel, going to the White House, all the other good stuff that went with it. Just a fun a range of emotions for those three guys in particular. But then to jump back out there on the ice against the number one team in hockey, who had played the night before. You wonder how it was going to affect the Wild, having not played since February 3rd. But for the Avalanche, what would their weary legs be like? Was it a benefit to them to have a game under their belt? But overall, they came out, they played a darn decent brand of hockey. I thought in the first period they got a little outskated, but they got through that first period, weathered the storm, and I think kind of took things over. So it felt good. They have to be real happy with the way they returned to action, and now they get a chance to prove that it wasn't a fluke because they go up against another pretty good team tonight.
Are you still feeling a little patriotic this week?
100%.
Have you moved on?
You're never going to move on from that.
Good.
Listening to Bill Guerin the last couple of days. I know he was on with Billy yesterday, and he was with Tom Reed in the intermission last night. And then to look at these guys and the way they celebrated, whether it's in the locker room, on the ice, post game. I mean, and then to be able to live it again through Hughes, Faber, and Boldy. In the pregame last night, talking about everything that they just went through. Joe had a wonderful conversation with Matt Boldy in the postgame last night following the victory, coming off another 4-point outing. How can you not feel patriotic and enjoy this? I'm not ready for it to be over yet.
No, I am not either. To that end, I was kind of talking with Greenway, just the way we move on so quickly from things. Like, I love hearing, I think, Brett, do you have that in terms of, because I think Quinn Hughes is doing something, like, I think he's going to be on SNL.
He is, and Fallon.
And so it's SNL and Fallon.
Yeah.
And so there's probably, logistically, that sounds like a freaking nightmare, right? Because he's got to fly. We play Utah tonight.
Yep.
And then it's a Sunday matinee. Yep. And then they play maybe Tuesday. I think that's the Lightning game.
Against the Lightning at 8:30.
Yeah, so here's his itinerary.
All right.
So he will fly to Salt Lake City. So he's there now. Yeah. After that game, he'll return to Minnesota, land Saturday morning. Saturday, he'll fly to New York for SNL. On Sunday, he'll return to Minnesota to play the Blues. On Monday, he'll fly back to New York to do Fallon. On Tuesday, he'll fly back to Minnesota to play the Lightning.
Yeah, I mean, and then rewind.
Keep it going.
Rewind a little bit prior to that. Then he goes from Milan to Miami to Washington, D.C., partying like rock stars over the course of those however many days. Then he flies back to, I assume they flew him into Denver, but now pick up the rest of that itinerary. I just can't imagine. I mean, he said that last night, and Quinn Hughes in particular, said that his legs caught up to him as that game went on. But I mean, he's just a beast, man.
Didn't look like it.
I know, and that's what I said too. But that's what he said in the post game. The way he's performed since landing in Minnesota, and then what he did at the Olympics, man, we should feel real blessed because we have 3 legitimate superstars on this roster, and that's not blowing it out of proportion. 3 legit superstars right now on this team.
Oh, to be young again, Mr. Falness.
Man.
As what is he? 26, 27, maybe.
Sounds right.
Something in that area. So he wins the gold medal. There were not probably, this has been well documented on social. There were a few beverages involved.
Oh my God.
There was like you said, leaving Milan, finding their way to Miami. They may have had 1 or 2 beverages there again. And then they get the opportunity to have that experience in D.C. Both, I believe they visited the White House, and then they were there at the Capitol for the State of the Union.
It's only 26.
And
he's young.
He rolls back, to be young again, to sweat that off, and then about 36 hours later, he's playing 26 minutes in an NHL game, looking as fantastic as ever. Why not find an assist in the mix as part of the blowout win? To be young again, Mr.
Think about
Falness.
it. I have a couple of beers tonight, and if I don't sleep till noon, I'm feeling it the entire next day. This guy's going out there and playing an NHL hockey game. Let me just check what his numbers were last night. You talked about the assist. I didn't ever look to see how many minutes he played. 26 minutes and 12 seconds. So a little lighter than we're used to seeing with Quinn Hughes, but not by much, So he's a factor. He's a beast. He was, and all 3 of those guys were really important to Team USA bringing home the gold, whether it's Boldy and his big goals. The one that he got in the gold medal game was as big as any of them. Brock Faber, a part of that penalty kill where they went a perfect 18 of 18. And of course, Quinn Hughes just, doing Quinn Hughes things, is an all-star amongst all-stars. Quinn
Hughes with the game winner. I think that was in the Sweden game
in the quarterfinals. OT. Yep. What a goal that was too. I mean, I can just go on and on. That tournament was so much fun. And again, the 4 nations was neat. It was cool and all that. The Americans came up short, but that brought the intensity, that brought that best on best tournament feel back to our front of mind. And it was a great tournament. The Americans came up short, but it proves again that there's nothing better than Olympic hockey. The international stage is on a level all of its own. And I love the Stanley Cup. I love playoff hockey and what the National Hockey League does come spring. But what they do on the international stage and how much this means to all these guys, man, that was just fantastic. And to get it back here for the first time in 46 years was a long time coming.
No, and that's why it can't end. So do SNL, do Fallon. Don't just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I was joking earlier. It's like I get back from Ballards, and we're instantly on to the Combine.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, Tuesday and PA and Pete, they did 2 great shows in Indy, and that's the A topic while they're there. Certainly, it was like I just kind of want to think about Team USA again for a little bit. I kind of want to soak that back in for a moment before, again, as these fleeting moments. I mean, by the end of the weekend and into next week, it's going to be. Wow, they're just 5 points away from the Avs.
Yeah, and now there's only 23 games left. It's crazy.
Used to be foregone conclusion that the Avs were just going to house the Central. Oh, wait, they've kind of had some struggles. They're 7-8-2 in their last 17, and the Wild are looking hot. No, Boldy might be the hottest player on the freaking planet right now.
Second in the NHL in goals.
I don't want to lose the red, white, and blue vibe. And stop appreciating that, at least anytime soon, I should say.
I got news for you. The past 2 Fridays, and Brett can vouch for this, all we did was hockey. So we were getting ready for the Olympics, and it was a lot of hockey vent into it.
That's good.
And especially last week, no Beyond the Pond because I go for basketball. So we unloaded both chambers on that Friday, and we were ready for it. But man, it was such an amazing, fun tournament. It's sad that it's over, but there is no time to think about it because you get thrown right back into the fire. You're in Colorado last night, you're back at it again tonight, and it's just going to be every other night from this point forward. I think it was 24 games in like 50 some days. They're cramming them in there. The playoffs will be here before you know it.
Let's go. We're ready for it. Now, was Kaprizov? Did he look like he was ready to resume play last night?
Yeah, I didn't see anything wrong with. I didn't even notice the tan. I'm sure there was there. It sounded like he did go back to Russia and get a chance to spend some time with family. What a nice bonus for him, in the middle of that 3.5 week pause. But I thought everybody looked great. The only guy missing right now is Jonas Brodin, and he's a big factor there on that blue line. Get him back up there with Jared Spurgeon, keep Faber and Hughes together, and then figure out your third pair from there, most likely Bogosian and Middleton. But other than that, everyone was healthy. They're doing their thing, and Boldy's just, again, I can't stress enough how much fun it is to watch him and know that it's not just Kaprizov anymore. You got Boldy, you got Hughes, and then everyone else is kind of pitching in as they come.
Tomorrow you do have Beyond the Pond.
Beyond the Pond.
And then Micheletti's going to be in the mix?
He is. The Gophers played last night. They stunned Michigan
right?
4-2, at Ann Arbor, and they're back at it tonight. I believe 5 o'clock. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. He'll appreciate me mentioning that. I assume that means the pregame with Wally starts at 4:30, but then he'll be back in the state of hockey tomorrow for 10 to noon for Beyond the Pond. We're doing a lot of Wild, Olympics, Gophers in the first hour. Then the second hour, we're bringing in Tony Scott, and we're doing all high school. There were 9 section finals last night. I was keeping more a track of that than I was the NHL out of town scoreboard during the broadcast.
So I stupidly I was following that, and how about that? I mean, that's hockey. How about that goal by the Edina kid the other day? The bounces.
Of course, it goes in favor of the Hornets.
But in fairness, what did he do? He followed it to the net.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty confident the person who pushed that forward was indeed the one who finished it. Is that accurate?
I have no idea. I still can't believe how that went in, rolled down the rail, and the goaltender has no idea where it is, so he just goes boop on the back door, and there you go.
Hey, he followed it.
Typical Edina fashion.
Yeah, typical. Okay, I get it. But how much of the trade deadline are you going to be talking about? That's a week from today, my friend.
And I'm telling you, it's not the sexiest of moves. I'd be shocked if Vinny Trocheck doesn't end up on this Wild roster. I'm not going by any inside information. That just is my spidey sense of listening to Russo, watching the interactions out there in Milan. Bill Guerin put Trocheck on the roster. He was a huge part of that gold medal, especially in helping that penalty kill work. He can provide center ice depth. He can play both ends of the ice. So that's a typical Bill Guerin type of a player. And if they can get the deal worked out, which I can't believe it hasn't been worked out already since him and Chris Drury were spending so much time together there in Italy, that's the guy that I think they have circled to join the Wild before the end of the season. But I do expect something between now and March 6th.
Real quick, and then I do want to get back to high school for a moment. When are the brackets set?
Saturday, we'll have that on the air live with myself, Tony Scott, Pat Micheletti.
Oh, that's terrific! At 11 o'clock,
we're gonna have a bunch of coaches. Of course, we're having the Hibbing head coach on right around 11:35, I think. But
Shock!
That I know that second hour is going to be all high school hockey. We'll have the seedings right there for you, and we'll talk to a bunch of coaches from across the state in both AA and single A.
Like we said, it just doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, the girls just finished up. Now you got the boys coming. Like I said, there were 9 section finals last night, and all across the state. Whether it's Amsoil, at Ritter, it was more fun to keep track of that than the NHL out of town scoreboard. There was a game that went to triple overtime last night.
And one thing to keep in mind, Falness, White Bear Lake and Gentry on
That's
the plus tonight.
Yes.
Halvey on the call.
I mean, I have nothing against White Bear Lake, but anytime they lose and Halvey's on the call, it's an instant classic. It's my passwords. I will give you the full passwords, but it's all HDM 2023. So anytime he wants to get into my computer, he's got to type that in.
Well, so my question to that, and then I will get back because I had another free agent bit because I'm just fascinated with some choices that Billy G has.
Yeah,
is there? So Gentry is kind of a hockey factory, right? Like that would be of the charter, the program variety. So academics could be maybe homeschooling or what that is, but certainly hockey would be the reason that children attend that school. Is there the vitriol around? Oh, it's just they paid their way to the top versus You know, I mean, the Hill Murrays of the world, the private school phenomenon that exists at Dinah, you were giving them crap a couple minutes ago.
Oh, everybody does.
Is Gentry in that category? So we're all on the Bears tonight.
The hard part would be if Gentry were to advance and face off against Edina in the state tournament, which team do you boo? Would be the question.
Jeez.
And again, I got nothing against Gentry. I really don't have much against Edina, other than I grew up in St. Louis Park, and that was the hated rival that basically beat us up on an every night basis in every sport.
And you've shared a lot of trauma this morning, from boats to youth sports.
That's right. Well,
that's what 9 to Noon's for. Absolutely.
So it's hard to know who to root for tonight. I almost want White Bear Lake to get there and then listen to Halvey call it as they stub their toe in the quarterfinals again. But again, there's nothing. I have nothing against White Bear Lake. It's more fun to listen to. We make fun of Halvey crying on the air all the time, and it's a good time. Head by all.
No, I totally get that.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. Now back to free agents. So whether it's Trocheck, it's O'Reilly. Like, I got a buddy, we had Russo on yesterday. I got a buddy who's got every game-worn Nazem Kadri sweater going back to wherever he originated from. I think he's Canadian.
Colorado. Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, he started his NHL career in Colorado.
Wasn't it Colorado? I think Toronto was in the mix.
Maybe Toronto was first, then Colorado, now Calgary. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but in terms of what we have to give, I think Billy G's really treading a fine line here in terms of the getting could be really good right now. But what does 5 years look like? Kind of the same way we talk about the Vikings in terms of, is it a veteran QB, or are you going to go big game hunting and leverage half a decade into the future of picks?
Yeah.
It's just a really interesting spot for Billy. And it seems like, as you mentioned, Trocheck, like that's a very popular landing spot among those that know the game. Russo was kind of echoing what you were just saying now. He was speaking about that yesterday. Like that kind of guy, a Trocheck, maybe it's Ryan O'Reilly, I believe. Yep. And names
would
like
be
that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And what that can do to change it. Just that's where we're looking at over the next handful of days, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, it depends, because the way the NHL does the standings, it feels like everyone's still alive. I mean, Nashville right now, as I look at the standings, they're 2 points out of a playoff spot, and that's where Ryan O'Reilly. To me, I'd love to have Ryan O'Reilly. I mean, that's to me almost the pinnacle of what you could go out and grab at the trade deadline. He would be fantastic. I don't think he's available, and we've been saying that for a few weeks now on Beyond the Pond. As great as he'd look in a Wild uniform, it's not realistic to think that they're just going to give up their playoff hopes and give away their best center. So that's probably not probable. But I will say this. The question is going to be, what is Bill Guerin willing to give up? If it's a big fish, like a Quinn Hughes type of thing, which I still can't believe that he can go out and make another one of these big moves happen. But yeah, you could swing a Jesper Wallstedt out there. You realize now you got this Sam Halavai down in Iowa that apparently can play some big time minutes and maybe is dying to and get out of the unfortunate situation there in Iowa right now. Or you got Marc-Andre Fleury hanging around in the rafters as well. Maybe you can pull him out of retirement. There are some options out there, but.
Well, that sounds ridiculous, right? Or
it sounds ridiculous, but he's the guy during the Olympics.
Out there, doesn't he?
When Gustafsson and Wallstedt were overseas for the Olympics, Marc-Andre Fleury had the gear on. He was stopping pucks.
The gold pads?
I don't know what color they were. I didn't go down there. I was
smile,
told that he was
right?
there. Always a big smile.
Big smile.
So,
fun conversation.
My point is, so let's say you deal a Wallstedt, you deal a Urov, or you deal the kid out of Michigan State, and you empty the cupboards for this run right here and right now. I hope not. But if there's
Urov has potential, man.
Wallstedt has potential. They all have potential. But if you're swinging for the fences right now, I
just like saying that. It's not like I have an elite. He
is pretty good,
but I think he could be pretty good. He's got good chemistry on the Krem line.
Yep. The problem here is that whatever's available now, is it comparable to what's going to be available on July 1st? And if you empty everything out, your cupboards out now, and there's a big fish out there at free agency, you're leaving yourself shorthanded to make another big move this summer when there might be some bigger names available. Yeah. But on the other side of that argument, you've got a team right now that's number 2 in the Western Conference within spitting distance of the first place Colorado Avalanche, and you just beat them 5-2 in their building last night. Is the time now to, empty everything out and go get them and load up? I don't know. That's the question that Bill Guerin has to answer.
Well, thankfully, Billy G has to answer that question.
Correct.
Now, he did put a little nice team, nice cute little team together in Milan.
Man,
See
he
if
did a
can
great
put
job.
He did an unbelievable
Yep.
job.
So much fun.
And hopefully he can put the finishing touches on this year's incarnation of the
Can you
Wild.
imagine
as well.
that double parlay going to the Olympics, bringing the first gold medal in 46 years, and then follow that up with the first Stanley Cup champion in the history of the state of hockey, going back to the North Stars, going back to the Fighting Saints, going back to Fred Flintstone?
Will we allow ourselves to believe, Kevin?
I've been thinking about it. This is the first time I've said it out loud on the radio. But what a 1-2 punch that would be for Bill Guerin.
It sounded differently as I was saying it, and I started to immediately retract it. But that's not impossible.
No, it isn't.
It's the third best team.
No, but that's the problem. I mean, no matter what he does, you still got to deal with the Avalanche and the Stars probably in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs because of this goofy NHL playoff setup.
Hey.
So whatever you do,
First
it
2
guarantees
rounds
nothing.
uphill, last 2 rounds downhill.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then you got to deal with whoever's there in the Eastern Conference. There's no easy path. The best thing the Wild could do is figure out a way to get over the Avalanche, get through them, avoid them in the first round, and then deal with whoever's standing between the Avalanche and Dallas in the second round. But I mean, there's a lot that has to happen between now and the 23rd,
Get the
23 games.
Get the 1 spot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kevin Falness.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you for digging up all this trauma.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you for telling us about just some tough moments.
Beyond the Pond tomorrow, 10 to noon.
Absolutely.
Myself and Pat McLetty and even Brett Blakemore's Breakaways.
At Radio Falness via X. It'll be heavy on the Wild during the first hour tomorrow. You heard that. And then high school hockey in the second hour featuring the bracket release as we get ready for the boys' high school hockey tournaments at Grand Casino Arena. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to news around the corner with Brett next 9 to noon. News to Nord brought to you by The Casino, Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. Truncated edition as it usually is. I suppose it might be a 2-topic affair, but CanterburyPark.com for all details on my favorite spot in Shakopee. Where are we headed to, Brett?
Yeah, it's going to be a short one. We'll go here.
Number 1.
You know, mysteriously, I was looking for highlights, and then I remembered listening to yesterday to 9 to noon how the radio for the Avs, Connor McGahee, and I was texting you feverishly trying to get the sound. Who brought you this?
Here he comes. Cale Makar, right-handed shot, right side circle. Makar trying to go 5-hole, save made by Volstead, and he celebrates like he's won the Stanley Cup. He has not.
Well, I thought, since we're going to talk about the Wild and the big win coming off the Olympic break to beat the best team in the NHL, instead of hearing Joe, who we love, let's hear how Sour Grapes V2 sounded. And it sounded like this.
Boldy, right down Broadway, save made, and it's put in by Joel Eriksson.
Hold on, stop it.
So ridiculous that the
Hold on,
Avalanche...
stop it, please. All right. Restart it because it sounds like a writing utensil is slammed against the desk during the call.
Hang on.
Play it again, please.
Drury bit. Boldy, right down Broadway, save made, and it's put in by Joel Eriksson.
Right there. Right there. That is assault
So ridiculous
on a
that the
Bic pen.
Avalanche had to even be shorthanded in that situation. I've never seen a more undeserved goal in my entire life. What an absolute shame. Boldy let it go, and Joel Eriksson, who, by the way,
You got to throw this
has
in.
not had any points of any kind versus the Avalanche in the last 6, is able to get the power play goal.
I mean, I have the timestamps for all of the goals. They just get better. I mean, maybe we can do this later. They get better, each and every one. He gets more and more upset. It truly is just such a... I mean, I get getting upset, but throwing your pencil like that...
So you have the timestamps on some of those other ones?
Yeah.
All right, maybe let's revisit that maybe during the final segment. Now, I will say this. I'm laughing because it's awesome. But Connor McGahee, I love his voice, and he does
He's got a good
unbelievable
radio
work.
voice.
Now, I need to dig into, I mean, is this rivalry, frustration, or would he handle this the same way on a Sleepy Tuesday against the Red Wings? I just don't know that. I mean, I've worked hand in hand with a guy for 12 years and change now who handles adversity on the radio when it comes to the opposing team scoring. He's handled it. This is ridiculous. I mean, the sound bites are in the system, and all of you who've listened to 9 to Noon or love the Vikings, you've heard them yourself from the long-time emotional Vox, which is one of the reasons we love them. So I can't necessarily. I mean, this team, whether you played, the arrogance or whatever, however you want to look at it, I don't really look at it as that. It's just when we caught the Avs in that game on Black Friday, I was at the game, that they were coming off of, I think, 10 consecutive victories. And this team feels like a freight train. Now, it hasn't been that. I mentioned it with Falness. They're like 7-8-2 over their last 17. So there's been a lot of mid-lane and some struggling both on both ends of the All-Star break. I forget. I think it was Utah. They handled them without McKinnon immediately out of the Olympic pause. It was 4-2 with no McKinnon. But this is. I mean, would we consider them to be a tense rival? I think so.
I would.
Yeah. So
the Jets, the Stars, the Blues. Yeah.
So Connor McGahey getting loud because Volsted's pumping his fist like he just won the Stanley Cup, which he hasn't. That's all good. I like that. I don't know. I like McGahey's he should be frustrated. I'm frustrated when my favorite team's on the wrong side of it. The Avalanche, by the way, after that Volstead shootout win, they did, I believe, come back to Grand Casino and smoke us 5-1.
That is true.
Like a week and a half later.
That did happen.
So that's kind of the fun part of Connor McGahey, but that doesn't mean we're not going to play more of that audio during the final segment.
Well, all I'm saying is it does make me angry, but it also makes me very happy to hear him just launch a pen. I didn't even notice that, and you picked that up. I have to hear.
Bit. Boldy right down Broadway, save made, and it's put in by Killer.
Here it comes.
So good. That's so good. Anyways.
But Connor's good at what he does. The Avs are good at what they do. And for us to get over the hump here, whatever comes of the trade deadline, et cetera, it all points to us potentially to have great success in the playoffs. We're going to have, I just got a text, Connor McGahey is the NHL version of PA. See, there you go.
There you have it.
Live and die with your club. Be a rube. I dig it. But we are going to appreciate some of that audio later in the show from Connor. That's awesome.
Number 2.
Well, Howell, maybe before we pause?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Low-scoring affair in the new Intuit Dome, I think is what they call it, out in L.A. against the Clippers, 94-88. It's not often I feel like you see that as a final score. Ant was fired up towards the end. He was like yelling at Chris Finch that's what I do. And it got very tense for, I thought, no reason just from watching it. But yes, the Wolves, big winners. 31 points Ant ends up in 36 minutes. Some contributes from Ayu, from Naz Reid. So,
Just say Dosumu.
Ayo Dosunmu.
There we go.
Yeah. What did I say?
Just Ayu.
Oh, did I say that wrong?
No, you didn't say it wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'm just not sure if we're on a first name basis with Mr. Dosumu yet.
I like the way he plays.
I think you can. Yeah, that's fine. You have a great relationship with him. You got a good vibe. You're on an IU. I still like to say Dosumu, just if anything to practice pronouncing it. They're at the Nugs here, and we talked about the Wolves a bit yesterday, and then we'll pause. There's nothing that changed here. That was a sleepy one last night. They were awful from deep, and in the third quarter, it kind of felt like that wave was coming, and they were trailing into the fourth. They find their way to victory, but all of these matter right now. Again, just a game from the third spot, and they're at the Nuggets, I believe, Sunday. So that's next up. That's Mile High of a different flavor, and they need to find their way to a W there. And again, just 3 games from being in a play-in, 1 game from being in third. Nobody's catching the Spurs and Thunder right now, but all of these matter in such a muddy Western Conference. So get over the hump. Keep getting over the hump. Looking forward to Sunday at Denver. Thank you, Brett, for finding that audio. We're going to do that, I think, final segment. But next, for the next couple segments, I want to chat with Paul Charchian. Paul Charchian's in Utah. As we talk and text more than some people know, Charch was missing being at the Combine, and he wants to break he wants to break down some of those Vikings Combine NFL talkers that we've been sinking our teeth into this week. That's going to be the final hour. Thanks to Brett. Thanks to Canterbury, the casino at Canterbury Park. Paul Charchian joins me from Utah next.